Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of a brand new Uncultured. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it, and very glad to get started again with a new show at a new time and really have some fun continuing to explore the world of hip-hop. As you may have remembered, we have had a lot of fun doing that for almost 2 years we've been doing this show. At the end of this summer, would have been 2. But of course, we had to kind of stop and start again, and we're all too happy to do that, to be 100% clear. But we do have a little bit of a shorter show, and more of a kind of focused show on the things that make our favorite genre of music, the hip-hop genre, and the hip-hop culture, so great. As you know, as the title of the show suggests, I am very uncultured, and only hope to get a little bit more cultured with each and every episode. So, yeah, that's kind of the hope for today's show. And we do have some very, very exciting news to start off with, as another Young Money compilation album is on the way, according to Lil Wayne. On Saturday, February 27th, Wheezy F Baby was a guest on Fox Sports Radio's Up on Game, where he confirmed a new Young Money album is on the way, saying, quote, we about to put the compilation together with all the artists together on one album that sets up everything for everybody so they can start coming out with their solo projects as well. So, yeah, it's a pretty, just to clarify here, Young Money is, of course, the Lil Wayne, Mac Main, record label that we all know and love. We got many different acts on there, but of course, most prominently, Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. Drake, famously a former act there. Of course, you get Tyga and Omarion, some other big names in the past, and they are saying that they are doing another collaboration album, and we've all been very familiar with some of their past work, some of their biggest compilation albums, including, this is with Cash Money Records. They did Rich Gang, and also Rise of an Empire, and We Are Young Money. So, We Are Young Money was probably their that went gold, so it was a pretty successful album, but I think many people will also know some of the songs from Rise of an Empire. You got Trophies, featuring Drake. Senile was another big one, but again, they really haven't found too much success with the collaboration albums. They haven't found too many big hits, but of course, they are really have a pretty strong and pretty vibrant history. Lil Wayne, also, who recently reported actually sold the Young Money music catalog for $100 million, is hoping the project can serve as a stepping stone for the artist he's currently repping, similar to the label's past 2 compilation projects. So this is going to be the idea here is to get more artists out in the open and get them on and put them in position so that they can release their solo projects. So this is going to be the Young Money show and tell for all the students, all the young Padawans of Lil Wayne, who come out there and show what they've been up to. So, of course, this unnamed album would be the third in a series of group efforts by the label, formerly under the legendary Cash Money Records. Of course, Cash Money Records with a storied history stretching from Back That Ass Up with Juvenile and Lil Wayne all the way to Tatiana and Blueface today. Like, they have had a big and kind of storied history with the Birdman, Lil Wayne, Juvenile, Mystical, all those people who kind of just destroyed it in the 2000s, played such a big role in the formation of hip-hop and kind of the resurgence of the insurgence of the South and Atlanta to, into kind of the hip-hop scene. So, this is going to be, in 2009, of course, the label put out its first compilation album, We Are Young Money, with the Billboard Hot 100 chart-topping singles like Bedrock, I Can Make You Bedrock. But, of course, the more popular Young Money releases have come from Drake, Nicki Minaj, Tyga, and Lil Wayne, kind of solo projects. I believe Take Care Pretty much all Drake's earlier work was under the Young Money umbrella. The more popular, that's kind of where the more popular releases have come from. And although it's been some time since the label offered a compilation album, fans of the collective can now patiently await a new offering from Weezy's label. Lil Wayne's full comments on the newest Young Money album were of course, in this Fox Sports kind of interview here he did, and here he is kind of prepping fans for this album.
You got new projects coming. They're dropping this year. When we chopped it up on the phone, you was in the studio getting it in, banging, knocking the walls down when we were talking, and you got a collab coming out. I mean, you got several collabs coming out. I mean, I don't know if this is breaking news, but it certainly is going to be heard by a lot of people when it comes out of your mouth and goes into their ears right here, right now. What are those collabs? When should we expect to hear them?
Man, I got so many. You already, I mean, everybody that knows I collab with everybody since day one.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I have something out right now with this with an artist, beautiful artist, man, from LA. Her name is Fouché.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a song right now called Ain't Got Time right now. But then she has her own stuff about to come out. We about to shoot that.
Okay.
And man, that collaboration right there, I'm so proud of that one right there. Man, that girl is super talented, bro.
We'll look for
super
that
talented.
One. Okay. Feel super good about that.
Oh man, she come in the studio, pick up a guitar, don't know how to read no music, just play by ear and kill it, man.
Oh wow.
Hey, that's always been fascinating to me, man. People that can pick up instruments and play the piano and play the guitar, and they just learn it through the feel and
by ear, there.
And hearing what feels good and don't know how to read music, man. That's when you really call it like a true talent, man. That's crazy. How I hear continuous stories of people just becoming artists and they don't know how to read music. And it's some of the best music that you ever heard in your life.
Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, so that is Lil Wayne there on Fox Sports Radio talking to the hosts about this upcoming collaboration project. So this kind of leads us into our countdown for this week, our kind of ranking segment. So we're going to go through some of these collaboration albums. Some of them have been a little bit hit or miss. They've been a little bit problematic. They haven't been always the best. It's kind of very risky, especially when you have a whole label collab. It's always kind of like a hit or miss. But there have been some put together by labels that have not turned out to be that bad. In fact, have turned out to be quite successful. And one of them that comes to mind is the Shady Records. Shady Records in the 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s, was just absolutely an incredible force, and we had talents like 50 Cent, the Shady G Unit, Eminem collaboration was a huge deal. So this is a project with high octane raps that showcase the peak of M's eclectic roster. For his part, M's nearly at his best, and so is 50 Cent. And when everything comes together, as it does on You Don't Know, you get a glimpse of the union between the Shady G Unit records being the force people probably imagined it would have been in 2004. Those moments don't materialize on every track, but it's a strong introduction for Shady Records 2.0. And, of course, the really fascinating history of all the various beefs that have come out between, people like Eminem and people like 50 Cent, and just how that just incredible hip-hop force and coalition fractured over time, and how different things are now. Couldn't go much further without giving a special shout out to Young Money's "We Are Young Money" in 2009. This is again under Cash Money Records, and really this album specifically was when Lil Wayne was at the height of his commercial powers. He was forecasted to kind of the early mid-2010s rap. He was pretty much on top of it there with the We Are Young Money, a compilation album that set the stage for Drake and Nicki Minaj to become some of the biggest artists of the era. This was one that, as Drake was working through Take Care and some of his kind of earliest work, So Far Gone and all that, and Nicki Minaj was coming on the scene with her kind of more pop phase, really kind of coming into her own as a singer, really. and as a pop artist before she could show off her rapping skills. I guess that's just kind of the nature of the gender inequalities that we know exist in hip-hop. These were very much, in a way, what Lil Wayne assumes, and we assume he's trying to do with this new collaboration album, set the stage for these two stars to dominate, and they are still dominating now. While Young Money has always been top-heavy, the songs that don't feature at least two of the Wheezy, Drizzy, Nicki triumvirate can occasionally verge on unforgettable. Tyga, J Mills, and other Young Money artists managed to inject songs with their own identity and help round out the project. And, of course, you have songs like Bedrock and Every Girl in the World representing the apex of bubblegum rap on a project that helped establish Young Money's legendary run. And bubblegum rap is really kind of a great way to put it. It's a very kind of popular, very kind of it's not like the lyrical force that we kind of come to see get a little bit more prominent in the later half of the 2010s, and kind of now, I think where we are now, we see lyricism being put a lot more emphasis than it was kind of early in the 2010s, late in the 2000s. But it was very, very clear to see that this really it was really kind of impressive, the king-making power that Lil Wayne and Young Money Records exhibited at that time. And if that was kind of the king-making moment for the South and for Atlanta in a big way, and of course we get people like, and of course Drizzy and Nicki Minaj are not from the South or Atlanta, but if that was that kind of moment, well, we had a whole nother moment happen just 3 years later, and that was led by Good Music, a huge, I'd probably say, I mean, I haven't seen a more impactful, definitely from 2010 on, there has not been a more impactful collaborative album than the Good Music Cruel Summer, just chock full of absolutely unforgettable songs here, as this is really kind of a moment where the Good Music roster really came on to its own for the first time. Already seeing some big names in here, like Tiana Taylor. You got Jay-Z, Big Sean. Big Sean, this was a big moment for him, and of course with the Click song that just went absolute, just so hard. You got Mercy, New God Flow, people up and down. The Pusha T collaborations on here. Travis Scott in this a little bit. Chief Keef, Don't Like. Sin City, another great song that just does not get enough credit. Creepers by Kid Cudi. This was another big moment here for Kid Cudi. And we also talk about the Morning, Higher, and of course the biggest ones I'd say are Mercy, New God Flow, Click, and Don't Like. Just songs that really, I think, came to define a lot of what we saw in terms of music and just the influence that some of these guys, Kanye West, Travis Scott, all these people had on the sound that preceded it, and kind of the latter half of the 2010s was just so absolutely huge. Looking at some of the names on this: Ghostface Killer, Pusha T, and Kanye West on New God Flow. Yeah, I mean, you know it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It really features sleek production and deft verses from an eclectic group of dynamic wordsmiths. This project features undeniable highs, even if it is briefly derailed by some bouts of clutter. Sin City and Creepers, they're kind of a little bit more different. They didn't really stick with the rest of the album, but I think they also, in their own way, defined a lot of sound that would kind of, that you can see how they reemerged almost in songs that preceded it, especially with Travis Scott. I believe that song was a kind of remake of a very, very, very early Travis Scott song that they kind of just stuck John Legend on. I think it turned out very well. I think it really did. And Tiana Taylor was on that one as well. So like it's, very, very popular. So this project, though, is one with highs like New God Flow, Cold One, and Don't Like, and all the ones I mentioned before that really are songs that anyone would put in their playlists, anyone would admit are some of the biggest and most defining songs yet. Another one, Maybach Music Group and Warner Records, Self-Made. This was one that really, I mean, to give credit to Rick Ross, like, it has been amazing to see. Kind of in a similar, and even, and sometimes you could argue, more effective way than Lil Wayne. He has made himself a kingmaker and someone who has been really supportive, and by industry standards, has been one of the most artist-friendly, most supportive labels that we've seen out there. So credit to him for that. Maybach Music Group's debut compilation project is probably one with some of the most high-octane anthems out there, whether it's I'm a Boss or 600 Bends, that just really established a dynamic duo of hype that is Rick Ross and Meek Mill. At its best, Rick Ross, Meek Mill, and Wale come together to deliver slick rhymes that capture the spirit of being self-made, with songs like Pandemonium, while the LP ventures off into generic banger mode at times and overload on features like Big Bank and Running Rebels. Tight lyricism, inventive collabs, and speaker-thumping beats make it a big start to the MMG kingdom. And that's kind of what we expect when you have MMG. Like, it's speaker-thumping. It's not going to be like one of those kind of Kendrick Lamar songs where you're just like, wow, you're kind of in all your jaws dropping, and you're just admirable of the lyricism at play. But you are going to have a very good time listening. You're going to be able to scream the words. You're going to be able to like play this at a party. Like, MMG songs, they're not unwinding songs. They are party starter songs in a big way. Tupac back. Oh, that's Tupac back. That was one I would play at any point in time. You got J. Cole, young J. Cole on this as well. Pandemonium, I'm a Boss, of course, probably the biggest song in that album. But Tupac Back could be kind of my underrated song to go to for this one. Now to a little bit of a newer collaborative project that, I mean, made some waves mostly for a clear diss of a famous hip-hop commentator. Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. Quality Control Records, 2017. Quality Control controlled the streets, and this is really at a time where Migos and Lil Yachty had just completely established the label as the next powerhouse. As 2017 came to a close a year later, the label added acts like Lil Baby and City Girls for the second collaborative album, Control the Streets Volume 1. While the LP is undoubtedly bloated at 30 tracks, I mean, duh, peak Migos, the adventurous Lil Yachty, and a blossoming Lil Baby, as well as the rambunctiousness of the City Girls, make the project a pretty memorable one. Like, this was I think, a great representation of actually, like, yeah, the South Atlantic, because you got people like Lil Baby, Lil Yachty, Migos, really representing that kind of Southern flair and the kind of just idea and really assertion that they control what is next in the hip hop sound, and that is clearly what it did. And they had people they followed it up in 2019 with Control the Streets Volume 2. There were some good ones on that, but of course you got to go 36 tracks. Jesus Christ! Ice Tray was probably the most popular song there, but there's definitely some good verses from all of them, and of course they have all gone on to have incredibly successful solo careers. Pretty much everyone involved in this album. Like going down the list, you got people like Offset. All the members of the Migos coming in, and they're not really too deep, but they kind of make up for it with everyone associated with them having quite a lot of success. So, yeah, another one, the Shady Records 8 Mile collaborative album. Lose Yourself was on this. It's like the song that won an Oscar. But the soundtrack for Eminem's semi-autobiographical film 8 Mile is a lot more than his history-making first single. Wanksta continued the rise of 50 Cent with a blend of mocking humor and a beat that sounds like a carnival for imaginary players. Meanwhile, Jay-Z and Freeway deliver memorable turns on 8 Miles and Runnin', and Rakim and Gang Starr show up for a track that mirrors the grime of hip-hop's Rocky. Just want to end here on two very, very successful and probably two of my favorite and most cohesive and coherent successful albums that we can come across here, and that is Revenge of the Dreamers 3, an incredibly great project by Dreamville and J. Cole, all the way down from, like, through association with Earth Gang. You can Guap Dad 4000, just a perfect and really just a great indication of this kind of new sound permeating rap with, like, a new generation of younger guys who were kind of going away from that bubblegum rap, changing up with different styles of production, and just completely different style. 100%. You got Under the Sun, a great one with DaBaby kind of making this kind of beginning of his just meteoric 2-year run here that I would argue is still very much on. Down Bad, Swivel, Wells Fargo, Earth Gang really and JID showdown on that one for sure. Costa Rica, Middle Child on that one as well. Sacrifices. You can go down that one. It's not too bloated, but over 30 people contributed. 30 musical acts contributed to that. It's a really cohesive collection of the posse cuts threaded together by understated but soulful production, and artists bring their A-game on every way on every song. Recording during Cole's framed January 2019 rap camp, Revenge of the Dreamers 3 was probably about as good and as cohesive of a project as you can get from kind of a collaborative album like that, and it really showed through. It was quite a project, and one that was really able to prove to a lot of people, and really a huge flex of the muscles, because we've seen a lot of labels all the way from going back to, like, Rockefeller Records, Death Row, Bad Boys, obviously. Like, pretty much every major label has tried to make a collaborative album at some point, and those labels have been filled with people who have had much more successful careers than almost anyone or everyone on these records. So it's been pretty incredible to see that, like, these people, Dreamville, JID, Earth Gang, all these people can come together and make songs that, I mean, you gotta probably say like 50% of this album is like songs you'd put on a playlist, and that is a pretty high. It's a higher ratio than pretty much every other one that I've talked about thus far. That is for sure. Just a very, very cohesive album, and that could be a part of this. This was kind of filmed or created at this rap camp almost that J. Cole had here. To speak with those who were involved with recording the Revenge of the Dreamers 3, a high-profile Dreamville and Friends Build compilation, is to speak about ego, more specifically, an environment devoid of it. And that was really a big part of why this album, I think, was so successful and so cohesive, because that was the big goal. It was not just big guys trying to outshine little guys and people just coming together for themselves. It was something really big in themselves. It was actually a group of people coming together to make a really successful artistic project. In January, Dreamville hunkered down. This is, of course, January of 2019 when this album was being made. They hunkered down in Atlanta's Tree Sound Studios and invited a hodgepodge of musical talents to create. And I wouldn't argue like this is kind of like a sound of the South, and maybe a little bit more that the Control the Streets from Quality Control was. I think this is kind of the new generation. This is a newer sound. This is a sound that I think has dominated in kind of the more alt hip hop circles, with people like Vince Staples and Earth Gang there. You got music rookies on the scene from stars, from people like Wale, Rick Ross, Six Black, Ski Master, Slump God, and Vince Staples. Those 10 days placed rap camp sessions at the nucleus of hip-hop's attention, and participants posted personalized invites online as part of an innovative social media strategy, and lore spread about the fire that was being made. So here's a studio clip.
Shit, okay. Little dirty nappy here, the east of Latin nigga. Father said that I was forced. 44 hanging that you don't make it home, then get up the porch. Let a nigga cover face.
This is tweeted out by Barry Hefner.
It's tomato or tomato, either way the boy great to play it. I won't say it no more. I was just fucked up. I was just down there. I had the time to fuck.
And that obviously is the song that turned into Down Bad.
Fuck a resume, fuck a cap and gown, fuck a background, check background. When I get the check, nigga, that's now. I was just fucked up. I was just down there.
That is Barry Hefner from Earth Gang.
I was just fucked up.
We got JID Rees in there in that studio. Cody Mack, Baz, Holman, Lil Reese. This absolutely packed studio. And yeah, you can hear it. Everyone's excited. Everyone's focused. No one's too crazy. Like this is an album that like you can put on a song and just shuffle play here. Like just completely shuffle play, and you can put one that is going to be good almost guaranteed. Not almost guaranteed, but like, 50-60% of the time. So credit to him for that. The president of Dreamville, Ibrahim Hamad, said the idea for the rap camp came about sometime in November or December. The way we did Revenge of the Dreamers 2 was me grabbing records and putting them together, maybe sending one to somebody to throw a verse on, then coming to Cole. I was like, we got a new energy. We got a whole camp of people. Let's try for the first time to really get in and work. Do this like a normal album, not just put it together slapdash like a lot of other collaborative albums tend to go. And another great one about this that really kind of, I would say, is I would put at a similar plateau some an album that I thought was just even better, I would say, than the Dreamville album, was Top Dog Entertainment's Black Panther, the album, music from and inspired by. This is, of course, the Black Panther soundtrack collaborative album that was a huge flex of the TDE muscle. By any account, combining rap and R&B stars for a cohesive compilation is hard. Doing it while injecting a movie's thematical elements for a soundtrack is even harder. Both tasks, though, are managed expertly on this album. An LP that breathes an Afro-futuristic spirit of Black Panther into songs featuring Future, The Weeknd, J-Rock, and Kendrick Lamar, who executively produced the LP with Top Dog Entertainment CEO Anthony Top Dog Tiffith. With dynamic production, features that always make sense, and bars that internetally connect with the plot of the film, Black Panther, the album, is a perfect soundtrack for a nearly perfect superhero movie. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman there. But yeah, look at this album. How many songs are you going to come back to? I mean, whenever. I would argue you go pretty much all of them. Let's go through it here. We got Black Panther, the kind of Kendrick Lamar solo that is just incredibly well done. Very, like, you feel like it should fit in the film. It could fit in the film. I believe this album came out a little bit before I saw the film. I saw the album. I heard the album before I saw the film, and it made me more excited to see the film because I was like, I want to hear one of these songs. Like it's incredibly good, incredibly good. SZA all over this. Schoolboy Q, and you got like Saudi and Yugen Blackrock, people not even associated. And I believe is SOBXRBE. Like, I actually searched them up. Like, I searched that group up because of their song Paramedic. Georgia Smith, great on this. Ops on the radar. You dead to me. How you want to play ball? You dead to me. Great collaboration there. Vince Staples really showing off and showing out on that track. The Ways with Sway Lee and Khalid, a really chill song, an R&B related song. X with 2 Chainz and Saudi completely changes that vibe. All the stars, SZA, like that is a top track of the year. That year that came out, like, I'm sure you've heard it. Bloody Waters, another great one. King's Dead, another iconic one. Redemption, Seasons, Big Shot, Pray For Me, with Kendrick Lamar on The Weeknd, just completely encapsulating so well, I would argue, the kind of melancholy and also the just of the kind of like the sadness that exists in Black Panther, but also the just incredible fight scenes, all the action that permeates throughout the film, and just also, of course, and like how could they not, encapsulating the African culture that was so present throughout the film, and they of course so well put it in the movie. All right. Since we kind of normally have pushed off the kind of Song of the Week segment in our old iteration of the show, I thought I'd make it a little bit more prominent here. And the kind of vibe I'm feeling, the Song of the Week I'm feeling, we're going to go with Rihanna here. And the song is Same Old Mistakes. Just a wonderful kind of Kevin Parker produced, Tame Impala. I think he even repurposed it in Currents, but just a completely beautiful song, which Rihanna adds so much to, and just perfectly creates the vibe. It's like floating through space, kind of an acid trip almost style of a song here. And yeah, you can just see all the colors. You can sing along to it. And it's 7 minutes long, so like it's very, very Tame Impala-y, very similar to like the Let It Happen style of song. You can almost kind of feel the formula coming up again, but it's a formula you're really happy to be a part of because the results of it are just so special. So to close it all out, that is it. Same Old Mistakes by Rihanna, the song of this week. What I'm personally loving listening to. All right, we'll see you next week. It's been Uncultured.